If you've ever spoken one language at the dinner table and another in your head, if you've ever paused before a sentence because someone else might hear it, this episode is for you. Welcome to S&J Pride. I'm Samnang.
And I'm James. This is S&J Pride, the podcast where two gay men who've been together over 11 years keep it real about coming out, love, and everything in between.
If you've ever felt split between two families, two countries, or two versions of yourself, you're in the right place. Today, I'm telling a story about language as protection, language as prison, and one sentence that changed everything.
There's a line I said in my mother tongue the night I stopped editing my heart. It was small. It was simple. It was, "Knyom saralang pro." I love a man. Saying those words in the language I'd always hidden in felt like stepping off a cliff and finding a hand.
Why language matters. Words live inside culture. The way we name ourselves is how we allow others to see us. For bilingual men, especially those raised in families where being gay carries shame or silence, language becomes both tool and trap. Today, I'll walk you through 3 parts: childhood code switching, the adult moment that forced a choice, and the practical tools that helped me bridge those worlds. Section 1. Childhood code switching. I learned to listen before I learned to speak. At home, we had a language soft and warm, words that carried memory and safety. At school, I learned a different rhythm, a sharper vocabulary that kept me small in public. I learned early that certain words had faces attached to them, approval, confusion, anger. So I learned to edit, drop the long sentence, shorten the truth, change the pronoun.
At 5, I called a classmate my best friend, and my mother called him my little brother's playmate. At 12, whispered crushes became jokes I swallowed. I became fluent in not saying. That fluency protected me, sometimes from harm, sometimes from myself. I remember rehearsing phrases in English that would feel safe when spoken to neighbors. He's just a friend. The English lied less obviously. My native language held deeper meanings we couldn't bargain with.
That took real skill. Learning which words landed you in trouble and which allowed you to breathe, that's a survival skill. We've seen listeners living at split.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The cost of survival is loneliness. I got good at smiling and changing subjects. Holidays were a minefield. Questions about girlfriends, future plans, children's names, all spoken with a language that assumed I would be straight. My answers were practiced, polite lies stitched into the family story. I thought I was protecting everyone. I was protecting myself from being seen and losing them.
Section 2. The adult turning point. I was 28 and in a long-distance relationship. I traveled home for the holidays with a suitcase full of fear and a heart full of maps. There was a night, small, ordinary, when my cousin asked who I was dating. My throat closed. I had a choice: translate my life into the words they expected, or use the language I'd hidden in to tell the truth.
I started in English because English felt less heavy. I said, "I'm seeing someone." That was safe. But his mother, my aunt, turned to me and asked in our native tongue, very quietly, "Is it a woman?" The room tightened. Hearing the question in the language of my childhood pulled all the old rules back into me. I could feel the old closet walls pressing in.
What was going through your head when you heard it in your first language? That switch often makes everything more real.
I remember thinking, if I say it now, in this language, there will be consequences I can't erase. If I don't say it, I keep living 2 stories. My hands were shaking. Then, slowly, the words came. Not in English, not in the phrases I'd rehearsed, but in the only language that felt like my family's history. I said, "No, Knyom sarlang pros. I love a man." The room did that weird silence,
that's not peaceful. It's waiting. Faces leaned in. Some softened. Some did not. The thing I learned then was that language unlocks more than facts. It opens old wounds and old joys. My aunt's hands closed around a teacup. She said nothing for a long time. Then she stood up and walked out to the courtyard. It was a small, clear boundary.
I remember hearing that story and feeling the tremor in your voice. You did something courageous. You spoke not just a fact, but a truth that tied you back to your roots. That took courage. We've been there with people who fear what family will become. What happened after she left?
Later, my father avoided eye contact for days. My uncle tried to change the subject. Some doors closed, some voices softened. But slowly, the repair started because I stopped living a split life. I started translating my full self into spaces where I had only given half. It didn't fix everything overnight. It made repair possible. And it taught me how to say the hard sentences in both languages so my family could hear the whole me.
Section 3. Tools and takeaways. I promised concrete things you can use tonight. So here are 3 practical tools that helped me move from grief to growth. Takeaway 1. Prepare 2 scripts. One in the language your family uses at home and one in the language you use in public. Make both honest but simple. Example script in your native tongue. I want you to know who I am. I am still your child, but I love a man. I'm telling you because I respect you and I want truth between us. Short, direct, and repeatable.
What I learned from that is repetition builds safety. Say the same clear sentence more than once. Don't expect one moment to fix everything. The hard part is the first time. The beautiful part is what follows. You've got this.
Takeaway 2. Translate feelings, not lectures. When you explain, don't only list facts, share a simple feeling sentence. It scares me to hide. It hurts me to lie. I want to be honest with you. Feelings land in family language. Facts sometimes just start arguments.
Takeaway 3. Small acts rebuild trust. It's not one big speech. It's consistent small actions. Check in. Show up for family rituals if it's safe. Share music, food, memories in your native language. Let them see you still love them, even when you love differently. Trust grows in tiny, steady ways.
And remember, you don't have to bridge alone. Bring a translator if that helps, a counselor, or a trusted family friend who can help carry the language. We're not saying therapy is magic, but it helps make difficult conversations less dangerous.
Heart to heart, if you're listening and your world feels split, I want you to hear this. Your languages don't have to fight. You can be the person who shows everyone how those languages live inside one heart. You are not behind. You are not broken. You deserve to speak in the language that holds your truth.
I hear you. If you're terrified tonight, start small. Write that one sentence in the language you fear and keep it beside your bed. Say it to yourself in private until it stops sounding like a cliff and starts sounding like your voice. That is power. That is permission. We're proof that it can get better.
Gentle, professional support reminder. We're not therapists. If this episode brings up trauma or you feel unsafe discussing identity with family, please reach out to a licensed counselor or a trusted support line. If you're outside the U.S., local LGBTQ+ organizations can help connect you to resources in your language. Safety first. Always.
If this episode landed for you, please subscribe, leave a review, and comment in the language you wished you'd had permission to speak. Tell us one sentence you want to say someday. Social media is where we build this chosen family, so drop a line and let us know you're here.
Share this with someone who needs permission to speak. If you're not comfortable commenting publicly, just write, "I hear you." That tells us you're listening and you're not alone. We see you. We believe you.
Thank you for spending this hour with me. Saying that one sentence in my native language didn't solve everything, but it changed the map. It gave me a route back to myself and a route back to my family. You're not alone. Keep choosing honesty, even when it scares you. Take a breath.
I hear you. You're not alone.
This is SNJ Pride. I'm Samnang.
And I'm James. We'll see you next time.